why do we want a manager that stays for 7 years? Great if we can make a manager stay for 7, 10, 20 years like Alex Ferguson. Great, let's do that. But I think there's too much emphasis on having one manager that has to make it. Why should that be? And I know that sounds a bit silly in a way, because you do want that stability, and that's what brings stability in a club if the manager is there. But we've seen with a lot of clubs, managers do move quickly, especially in the relegation zone. Now you're going to start to see a lot of managers sort of, a lot of turnover, because new manager comes in and they change things and they improve results.
BJ, the risk of chopping and changing managers almost deters some managers to come there now, because the model is not allowing a manager to really get his feet and hands into the club. And, there could be a manager out there, say you got rid of Potter today. Tomorrow you got rid of Potter, right? He's sacked. And you now go into market. You have to give every manager and say, look, you come in, when you go through your down period, I'm going to back you. You can have 6 months to get it right. You can have that bit of leeway, because you've done this in Europe. So if someone like Simeone, for example, I know you might not want his football at the bridge, but let's just say he gets you results. Diego Simeone from Atletico Madrid. He might go through a whole bit where it's like, it's not working. But at what point are you going to deter a decent manager from joining Chelsea? So this model that Todd Bowley's got, where he's like almost the perfect owner. Maybe they're not Potter players, to your point about Chelsea just buying the best world-class players they can get their hands on within that particular window, right? And outdoing their rivals in Arsenal this window. And I get that, right? Because you want to get the best quality in the squad that you can. But at the same time, I look at Chelsea and I think they can't continue to chop and change. They need to find their Pep, and they need to back their Pep, whoever that guy is. And obviously, by the looks of it, it's not Potter. It's not Potter. He's a young, upcoming manager that at Brighton did really well with less expectation, good recruitment, and mid-table was great for Brighton. Even staying in the Premier League was great for Brighton. And he managed to get them up into the top 8 and, do some good stuff with them. But let's be honest, was he even the right recruitment for Chelsea Football Club? Was he even the right man? Because Brighton have been fine without him. Isn't Chelsea, for me, Chelsea's always getting proven players, proven managers, and proving it works, and yes, the odd youngster, the odd youngster comes in and maybe goes out on loan. But Chelsea, for me, this is a mismatch, because yes, you give a manager time to build stability like Pep has been given time. Arsenal, I don't want to compare Arsenal and Arteta to Chelsea, because it's a different bag, because one's ambitious to win it all by backing them with millions, and the other one's got to bring in youngsters and be careful on what they spend. So was Potter even the right decision in hindsight? You look back at now and saying, what were we doing going for flipping Graham Potter? I mean, seriously speaking, like, with Chelsea Football Club, man, was it a mistake initially?
Well, I think they tried to, what I can see is they tried to stabilize the club and move it away from the 2-3 year manager rotation system that we've had, and go for someone that can build teams, build youth, coach them, and, become successful that way. Clearly it's not working. I'd love Potter to stay and to make it success. I've got nothing against the guy. And I think most Chelsea fans have got nothing against the guy. It's purely his credentials. And going back to my point is, if this was the start of the season, we'd be in a relegation zone right now. At what point do you turn around and say, well, we need to give the guy time to build? Yes, but we don't want to also get relegated at the same time. And I know that we're not going to get relegated. But the reality is that we're on 31 points.
Yeah, it's awful, man.
That's not even relegation safe zone.
You'll be 11th next week. I think Villa are pretty much
right
there.
Yeah. Right. So that's what I'm saying is that where do you draw the line? You can't say, well, okay, well, here's a job for you, Mr. Graham Potter. Here's a season for you. Go out and do it. Make sure we don't get relegated and everything's great. That's not going to happen at Chelsea. Forget Chelsea. That's not going to happen at any club. No Premier League club is going to say that to their manager at all, are they? And I think that's where you've got a problem is that it's just loss after loss after loss. I mean, where you've got Chelsea up on screen, look, 3 draws and 2 losses.
Yeah, it's a joke, isn't it? I know. The only bit of green at Chelsea Football Club is the bit on the grass at the moment, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
There, mate. It's a shame. I mean, I think Potter was a knee-jerk. I think they got rid of Tuchel because of political issues behind the scenes, from what I've heard. It wasn't necessarily purely a football-based decision. Todd Bowley fell out with him. I think it was over signings or something. Something fell out over him with something. Potter was a quick fix to come in. This British manager doing well at Brighton, got the whole psychology thing. He studied it. He's a master of, and he's done the whole degree and everything. And he's into all that kind of stuff for football as well. So it sounded great. But let's just strip it back. When Tuchel went out, Potter had no right to walk into that club, if you ask me. Chelsea Football Club, right? The quality they've got, the money they've spent, the squad they've got, where they've been sitting at the top table for so long. Now I look back and think, how did even Graham Potter get that job? Because at Spurs, and I say this being a Tottenham fan, it would have made more sense because of who we are, because we're not Chelsea Football Club. You know, we don't have that squad. We don't spend that kind of money, and we work on the recruitment thing. For me, Chelsea don't need youngsters to come through necessarily. Chelsea have quality. Chelsea have the players to win a league, to be top four, to win a Champions League. So to bring in this guy who brings youngsters, I'm looking back now. For me, it looks like chalk and cheese, VJ. And it's easy to talk in hindsight because it's obviously a lot easier after you've seen what you can do. But even if you just go back to the moment when they hired him, I almost remember speaking to a couple of mates going, Chelsea have got Graham Potter. Oh, he's going to be there 3 months, 2 months. They'll get their man. He's just a short-term babysitter.
Stopgap, yeah.
He's a stopgap. And then it's been like, we want stability. We want to give him time. But off what? Off pretty much keeping Brighton in the Premier League. And that's not enough for Chelsea, if you ask me, VJ. Chelsea should have a seasoned, winning, historically winning manager that walks in that dressing room and commands respect from the moment they find out he's joining the club. A lot of these players are looking at Potter like me and you are, or a lot of fans, general fans are looking at Potter going, not being funny, but you're punching, mate. You're seriously punching. Yep. And you can tell me about tactics and organization and how I need to be a better player, but what world-class players have you developed? What have you done that's world-class that you can sit here and take 100% of my attention? I'm basically listening to a coach. They probably look at him as one of those assistant coaches, and at best, he should be Chelsea's assistant coach. How he got that job, I look back and I think, was it a knee-jerk, or was it a planned-out process where they said, right, we want Potter, and then we're going to get rid of Tuchel? Or was it, we need to get rid of Tuchel because we've fallen out with him for whatever reasons? Right, now what's the next best thing? Do you get what I'm saying? I think it was done reactively rather than proactively, where they actually had Potter and then they had a meeting and said, right, we really want this guy. I don't think it was like that, VJ, personally, mate, looking out.
No, I don't. And your table that you got up on screen is telling, because you talk about the greens. Chelsea is the only one in that top 10 that hasn't got a green in the last 5. That's unheard of for a top 6 side. Absolutely.
If you haven't had this form since 11 years, it's been since you had this form. I heard on the radio earlier today. 11 years since Chelsea had this kind of form. And I don't know who that was, but whoever that was lost the dressing room and got sacked pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, it'd be pretty tough to guess, wouldn't it? I mean, that happens every 2-3 years. But the point here is that it's insane. I mean, this is a false position for Chelsea. And I'm not trying to say that that we're entitled to be further up the table, but with the investment, the club, or what they've done over the last 20 years, they should be up there with the Uniteds and the Spurs and the Cities. They should be up there. They finished 3rd last season. They lost in 2 FA Cup. They lost in 2 domestic cup finals on penalties, for goodness sake. And that could have gone any which way. Penalties are flipping a coin. And you've gone from that to this.
Yeah.